Hey, what is up everyone? Danny here, and in this video I want to do a part 2 from my previous video on how you should place your feet for the stance and the footwork, the basics. Today we're going to cover the basic of your punches. Alright, so here we go. First things first, if you watched the previous video, and if you haven't actually, go back and check that out first. Now, once we understand how to properly position ourselves, we want to look at how the basic punches are going to work, right? So although this video is kind of like intended for mixed martial arts, whether it's street fighting, mixed martial arts, boxing, kickboxing, or Muay Thai, the punches are the punches, right? There's going to be slight variations on how I like to perform it if it's pure Muay Thai versus mixed martial arts, or even for self-defense. But let's talk about general things as a crash course that you guys, if you're starting out, how you should do your strikes. So that's what I'm going to try to cover in detail in this tutorial video for you guys. Okay, so let's start with the basic punches and the straight punches first, right? Now, I do want to address that there's two ways I like to throw the straight punches. Number one is in a straight line, and the other one I'm going to talk a little later on is how I prefer to do them more Thai style. Okay, so now the first thing I want to talk about is the positioning of your arms. So your elbows, no matter what, should always be pointing towards the floor. Never want to have your elbows flaring like this, okay? This is wrong. So I want my elbows pointing towards the floor, and my hands are always going to be up and protecting my face. Now, of course, sometimes there are going to be situations where you're going to start to relax your hands as such, but you only want to drop your hands once you're out of range from the striking attacks of your opponent, right? But once you're in range in that zone where there's only one step where he can hit you, don't drop your hands, okay? So elbows are pointing down and the hands are up at all times. Now, if we look at straight punching is going to be in a straight line, so that means if I'm facing you guys in the camera, I don't want to raise the elbow and throw it from here. I want to keep the elbow down and straight left in this fashion and pull it back in the same line it drew. Now, on the right side, straight punch goes here, rotate, and as it returns, watch the elbow, it returns back into the starting position. So that's my straight left here, and the straight right will follow. Okay, so usually when you start out, I would recommend you always practice only one punch at a time. Forget about combinations or combo punches. Just get into a nice stance and get into the habit of slowing things down and throw your left, and then come back. Left, and then come back. And then right side, come back. Right side, come back. Now, let's talk about those elbows. I'm going to bring Alex in for a second and show you guys why I don't want the elbows pointing up. Okay, so now, if Alex comes into the discussion and he has his hands up as such, watch if I raise the elbow. Two things are going to happen. That's wrong for me, right? Number one, every time I open the elbow up, I'm telegraphing that I'm going to hit him, so he's going to move out. And number two is the arm is going to clash here. So when I bring the elbow up and I punch him, I'm only hitting his forearms. So what I want to do is keep everything tight and throw from here, right? Everything has to go in a straight line. Plus, I'm not telegraphing my punch. So now it's hard for him to read boom, boom, always straight lines, right? So that is the reason why we want to keep punches in as straight line as possible. Number two is all about how you cover that range, okay? So since Alex is here with me in the frame, I want to talk about how you close the distance for your punches. So one of the common mistakes, we talked about the elbows, is also how you bring your feet in for your punches. What I mean by this is this. If I'm from the side like this and I throw my punches, let's say left and right, a lot of people will bring the back leg forward like this. Say they punch, 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 punch. I don't know who came up with this, but it doesn't work, okay? So what we want to do is use the lead leg. So if I'm in a left stance like this, all right, my left lead in front, I want to make sure that left leg moves forward as I throw my punch. Doesn't matter if it's the left or right side. Watch with the left. I punch it in. I step it in. See how now I'm covering that zone, that range. Same thing with the right side. I step it in and then I come back. I step it in and come back. So your lead leg is what's going to close that range into the target, okay? So if I'm looking at Alex here, watch how the wrong way would be, right? If I throw a jab and I just step here, I didn't break, I didn't cover any range here. The same thing with my right side, see? I don't cover nothing, but if I push the back leg and lead with the lead leg, now I cover a lot of distance. See, punch and punch. Lead leg covers in, okay? So that's very important, guys. Once you start your training in mixed martial arts or Muay Thai, always think about how you position your arms for your defense as well as your offense. And secondly, probably most importantly, is how you place your feet and how you can cover that distance for some attacking punches. Now I'm going to talk about straight punching, but to the body, okay? So there are two ways I like to practice this. Number one is staying upright and going all the way down like this. Okay, my shoulder will push the elbow and the elbow will push the punch right into the stomach. Same thing on the right side. Boom. Why do I do this? Because it's fast, right? My opponent's standing in front of me. Maybe we're boxing here and boom, right to the stomach, right? It's a fast shot. Now, does it have a lot of power? A little bit less than the second method I'm going to show you guys, but it is a very effective technique, okay? Now, if you want to put more power, more boom into those punches, now you're going to drop your level. Now you're going to bring your legs into the equation and push the hips with the shoulder into your strike. So it's going to look as such. If I throw my left lead here, I'm going to drop my base and then boom, step it in once again with that punch. On the right side, it's going to have even a more devastating effect where when I drop my level, I'm going to step in with my lead leg and push off the back leg, and my shoulder has to be aligned with my punch. So the first method, I drop them down, boom. And the second method, I drop my legs down into the punch. And here, boom, fast punch, or if I drop it down, boom. See, I can rotate using my legs, my lower body. Guys, if you use your legs, your stance, you're twisting that core rotation into your strikes, you're gonna develop some devastating power, all right? Now, it's very important to do a lot of repetitions in order to do so, but these are the basics of the techniques for the straight punching. Now I want to cover how I said at the beginning of this video, how I like to throw the straight punches. A lot of coaches will teach you to always stay tight as such, in a straight line. I find this is very narrow, it's very uncomfortable, all right? The most important thing you want to have in a favorable stance is to always stay relaxed. In order to stay relaxed, you have to be comfortable, all right? So if you're staying like this too long and you're stiff, this is uncomfortable for you. At least it is for me. So how can I stay relaxed here like this? I like to just keep everything loose. Imagine I'm holding eggs in my hands. I don't want to crush those eggs. And my elbows are just dangling as such. All right? I don't want them too high, but I don't want them too close together as such. Also, like I said in my previous video, I don't like to be standing on an angle as such. I like to be square here. Why is that? We're going to cover this in the next punch, because the next ones we're going to talk about are the looping and the hook punches, okay? So, how I like to throw my straight punching, it will almost resemble an overhand in a straight line. Let me explain. So if I'm here, watch the elbow now. I'm gonna twist the elbow up and pop the shoulder into my punch as such. Wham! See how I turn my hips and wham! Turn the punch, boom, into the target, okay? So on this one, you're really ensuring that you bring the shoulder into the equation of that punch, all right? So if I throw my right from the side, I'm here, watch how my shoulder turns, boom, and it comes in, back into that motion. So I'm pushing the two first knuckles of my fist into the chin, onto the bridge of the nose, onto the eyebrow to create some cuts, right? Ideally on the button, but sometimes people are gonna be boxing or fighting as such, and you're gonna catch them right on the eyebrow, right on the nose, right underneath the eyes, or ideally onto the target, which is the knockout punch, okay? So now, crossing punches are beautiful because if my opponent has a low guard, well, now it's open season for you, so now you have those powerful punches coming in right across his gloves. Sometimes though, he's gonna have a very tight guard like I just discussed. Some people like to box in this fashion here where their thumbs are pointing on the outside and they're just boxing like this, where the MMA glove or even the boxing glove is going to be covering the chin like this, but everything is wide open. So the crossing punches here, the Muay Thai style punches, are a beautiful technique for this. Boom, you just bring it in. Boom, you just bring it in. See, goes right over the gloves, right where you're going to create some cuts, and sometimes it'll push the glove down and hit the target on the chin, which is the button, which is the knockout. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Wham, wham. Now let's cover the hooks. The hooks are some of my favorite punches, okay, because sometimes it's hard when you're always focusing as an opponent on what's coming in front of you, but those angular punches, such as the hooks, are sometimes hard to read in the flow of action, okay? So let's start with the lead hook, and then we're gonna cover the right hook very briefly. Basically, same mechanics as any other punch, but now the only difference is the elbow now comes up. All right, so we have to go in a circular fashion around the opponent's guard. So in this fashion on the stance position, I'm gonna throw the lead hook. Now there's two ways. Sometimes you're gonna go quick and just pop it in, see? Pop it in. And other times you're gonna feint with your shoulder, create a little bit of a feinting motion, but also generating more power. It's almost like you're loading up that left hook, and then you can bring it back in for more motion. Because that left hand is the one that's in front. So you're not going to feel there's as much power as the rear hand, of course. But you can disguise this using your shoulder. So you're here, you move it in, and boom, bring it in. Now, when you throw the hooks, common mistakes, sometimes people will bring the elbow too high. And now when they land on the target, this is what happens. And they'll injure their own shoulder, right? So always keep the elbow parallel to your fist or slightly lower, all right? So the hook is not just about bringing it up over. It's just about twisting your body into the punch, right? Sometimes you'll throw a hook just to knock the hand out of the way so the next punch comes in, okay? So left hook, once again in the stance, if I'm on the side here, see how the left hook has no power? Now if I get square, now wham, wham, wham. See, left hook here, bam, don't drop the right, and the right hook, a more powerful blow, but don't drop the left, okay? The right hook I like to use against people that have a wide guard as such, or against lefties. Okay, we'll cover that in a future video. But for now, mechanics of your basic punches. So, I'm coming here, I'm coming around the guard, wham. And on the right side, wham. See? One of the common mistakes also is people will lean in thinking if they bring their head in, they're gonna cover that distance, see? So if I drop my head, there's not much power. So what I need to do now is once again, step it in, see? I step it in, I step it in. See, I always cover that distance, like I said previously, with your punches where you wanna push off your back leg and step in with your lead leg. That's the range, that's where you're gonna close that distance for your strikes. Okay, now a good drill to ensure you bring your elbows up, have your training partner just place his hands like this. Now, I'm gonna practice throwing the hooks from here, see? Wham, 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 bam, bam, bam. Going around the arm, this is gonna help me practice getting the correct motion from my elbows. Now, there's one more trick is you never wanna drop your elbows before throwing that hook. This is what I mean. You do this, the opponent's gone, right? You just telegraph what you're gonna do. So imagine there's a table here and you're dropping your elbows, boom, onto that table. That's your stance. And from here, don't drop the elbow. The table is there, so you can't drop, and you throw from here. Wham, wham, wham. That is the correct technique for throwing some powerful hooks. Discussing the hooks, I also want to cover the hooks to the body, all right, the body shots. We talked about straight punching to the stomach and how we do it to the side. So the same mechanics. Now, if you're going to throw that left hook, that is where your liver is located, right here. So what I like to do is lean into that lead leg. So sometimes if you're already on an angle, I'll lean in and throw it here. Or other times I'll create my own angle by stepping with my lead leg, boom, and creating that nice post for my balance before I throw that left hook to the body. Okay, so once again on the lead side, I step here, boom, see? Always throw it on an angle. Imagine it's almost like a semi-uppercut. You're going up, and when I throw the body shot, if I'm here with Alex, I'll throw it from an angle so you guys can see. I throw my left hook, but I'm aiming the shoulder on this side. And if I throw the right side, I'm aiming the shoulder on this side. I don't want to throw the hooks like this, sideways, sideways. I want to go on an angle, boom. Same thing on the right, boom, okay? So this are basics of the left hooks to the body as well as the right hooks to the body. So we go here, step, bum. On the right side, bum. Left, bum. And right, bam, wham, 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 wham. All right, the last punch I want to cover for this tutorial are the uppercuts, left and right. Okay, so from the front, left uppercut comes here, boom. Now notice how I don't like to throw the uppercut facing a circular motion as such. I'm not punching myself here, see? I want to punch the opponent, so he's standing in front of me, so the uppercut will not reach the target. I need to extend it. So on the left side, it'll look like this. Boom. Boom. Same thing with my rear hand. Extend the uppercut. See? My opponent's standing here, and I throw it here, I'll miss. Even if I step it in, I'll still miss. I have to extend it slightly on an angle, and now I'll reach the target. Why I like to do the uppercuts like this is for this reason. Sometimes on the uppercuts, people will snap back. If he moves his head, I still catch him. Boom. Same thing on the lead side. I step it in, boom. Even if they move away, you'll still catch them. Sometimes I like to aim for the chest. If I aim the chest right here, I know it'll follow through right underneath his chin. See? Wham. Okay, so those are the uppercuts, left and right side. Wham. Wham. Wham, wham. Wham, wham. Wham, wham, wham. Wham, wham, wham. Okay, so now, every time you throw your punches, always keep a great technique, okay? And one of the first things you should do as a beginner is always remember to try to keep your hands up, right? A lot of times beginners are not very proficient at defensive tactics just yet. So by keeping your hands up, at least you're protecting yourself. You have good defensive techniques. If you're not fast enough to block or slip, at least your hands are there to protect your chin at all times. Now, a good drill I want to end this video with is always keeping your hands up, is always starting from here. So don't worry about your feet, and what you're going to do is throw your punches as such. Or every time you throw a punch, you always try to bring it back. All right, a lot of people get sloppy. They throw that left, and then they circulate, and they bring it back down to the waist before they bring it back up to their chin. Okay, so always think your arms are just like elastics. So for example, on the left, wham, and bring it right back. Okay, so the punch is thrown at 50 miles an hour. Imagine it comes back at 100. Okay, so on the left, wham. On the right, wham, and throw it with the shoulder. So wham, wham, see? Practice like this, and eventually get into your stance. Now throw the same thing, left, wham, right, wham, wham, wham. Always bring it back with your hands up, just like elastics. Always returns back to the starting position. Now, a lot of times what you can do is I'll have my students drill by doubling up. So let's go through all of those punches. For example, straight, hooks, and uppercuts. So as an example, you stand here, we'll go left, right, then hook, hook, and then uppercut, uppercut. See how the other hand is always coming back where it started. So if you put all those 6 punches together, it'll look like this. Again. One more. And always training yourself to bring your hands back up into a proper placement. Now, you start from your stance. And you keep on repeating this for a whole minute. Number one, it'll work your cardio, but also your proper technique. Then once you get accustomed to this, start doubling up on your punches. As an example, do everything double. So left, left, right, right. Hook, hook, same thing on the right. Uppercut, uppercut, and rear side as well. If you put this into a drill, it'll look like this. And you continue this for a whole 60 seconds. And then last but not least, do everything double, but on the same side for coordination. Left, then right side, all 6 punches. So from here, bam, 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 bam. All right, guys, so there you have it. Quick crash course on the basic punches you should have for mixed martial arts. Hope you enjoyed. Leave us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't so already. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.